Welcome again to Life in the God Lane. I'm Tom West. Hope you'll subscribe to my channel. Hit the bell so you get notified every time I put one of these little messages out, which is every day. And I hope that you will give me thumbs up, make comments, share this video with other people so they can get this biblical teaching. And this is a power verse for the day, for the 28th of March, 2022. And I call this message, the testimony of God's Spirit with yours. It is important. It's from Romans 8, verse 16. Yesterday, we affirmed from Romans 8:15 that we receive the Holy Spirit when we convert to Christ, and He frees us from the fear of not complying with the law, and He is the Spirit of sonship, affirming God as our daddy, a personal relationship with God the Father as our daddy. So how do we know that we are God's child and that the Spirit is doing His work? How do we know that? And I don't mean how do we figure that, how do we figure that we're God's child? I mean, how do we know, absolutely positively know that we're God's child? Look at Romans 8, verse 16. It says this, the Spirit Himself testifies with our spirit that we are God's children. Folks, what this teaches is that the Holy Spirit joins our spirit inside us when we're converted to Christ, and together with our spirit, both my spirit and the Holy Spirit, they're two witnesses, they testify that I am God's child. Let's say that you're accused of and are being tried for robbing a liquor store. And two friends saw you at a cafe on the other side of town at the exact time that you supposedly robbed that liquor store. And you know you didn't rob it, but you're on trial for it because someone thought you did. But these two guys saw you at a cafe on the other side of town and they knew you didn't. But you don't know about that. You don't know about those two witnesses. You're in court and you're thinking your goose is cooked. And then your attorney calls the first and then the second guy as a witness. They both testify that they saw you at the cafe on the other side of town at the exact time that the crime was committed. So you couldn't have done it. Both attorneys make their final arguments. The jury goes into deliberation. 15 minutes later, they return and announce a unanimous verdict. Not guilty. Not guilty. The truth sets you free, but not until it's known. And it took those two witnesses to make it known. You can feel convicted, lost, and headed for hell until you're told that your spirit and the Holy Spirit testify together that you're God's child and that you're freed and that you're forgiven. Got to have those two witnesses bear testimony to the reality that's going on inside you. And it's all based on what Jesus paid for you at the cross. He took your place at your execution. You're free. The two witnesses, the Holy Spirit and your spirit, testify to that. The truth of you being God's child can exist, listen to this, without you knowing it. Just like you can be not guilty of the crime that you were accused of, but not know it. So once you understand the testimony of God's Spirit in yours, you're freed from fear and you're empowered to rest in forgiveness as God's child. What you're supposed to do. You are not guilty. You're not guilty, just like the guy in the courtroom. Not guilty. That's why this kind of doctrine must be taught clearly. If people don't understand it, they wallow in guilt. We need to get this kind of thing taught to people so they understand that they're free. Hope that's helpful to you. And I will see you tomorrow.